Good morning, strangers. Um, Today we're going to talk about reframing. I've been waiting to talk about this, but I was also just waiting for it to strike me and for me to feel like this was the right time to talk about it. Because I think it's a really important lesson. Um, so, when you're going through life, plenty of things happen good things, bad things, however you want to view what happens to you preferred, less than preferred, positive, negative, whatever. People say that you don't get to choose your circumstances in life. You only get to choose how you react. I, I'd say that this is partially true. It's not true 100% of it, like for 100% of the process of having a reaction, okay? I'd say you get to, well, I mean, your initial reaction is often just your subconscious programming that comes from the life that you've lived. So, of course, the reaction you have in the moment feels natural, and that's why you go with it. Whether you get upset about something, or angry about something, or you feel happy about something, it's like, oh, this thing happened to me, and it should make me feel happy, naturally happy because it was something that was beneficial. Or this situation is hard because it's an adverse situation, and everybody in my life that's gone through that believes that in this adverse situation the only way to react is through anger or is through being upset or whatever the response is. So this idea of being able to choose your reaction is kind of a misnomer to me. I think it's more accurate to say that you get to choose how you continue to feel. Maybe not your initial reaction. Over time, you can change your initial reaction to be selected from a smaller and smaller pool rather than like I have a big pool of reactions that I've taken on through other people's lenses that I was told how to use. Um, so eventually you can essentially choose your reaction, but it doesn't begin with an active thought right as the thing happens. You'd have to have like perfect omniscience to know what's happening and, oh, I'm about to feel this way, so I need to choose a different way. That's what you're aiming for. But that takes time. You have to develop that and you have to reframe stuff. So reframe whatever situation arises in your life that is, we'll call it less than preferred. Or even preferred. You may be able to bring about more appreciation for something in your life, something you used to appreciate that doesn't bring as much joy anymore. Well, let's reframe it and let's say, well, at least I have this comfortable element that I can go and rely on when I feel a lot of stress. So, anyway, I also just want to say, like, because this is kind of a misnomer, what people experience is they experience frustration with themselves or just prolonging this process, prolonging negative or less than preferred feelings because, well, I'm supposed to be able to choose my reaction, right? I'm supposed to be able to choose. So now it falls on me that I chose the wrong thing. It was my responsibility. But did you actively choose it? Is my point. A lot of the times you don't. So, how do we fix this? The skeleton key that you're looking for changing your responses is reframing. So, I have an example actually that I did write down and that I am just going to read through here. So, imagine you're at work and you're supposed to have this promotion, you applied for this promotion, and you see that there is no way that they could pass over you. Maybe your coworker got a similar promotion or got a bump on his bonus, and you've been there longer than him, so you feel, naturally entitled to have some sort of benefit yourself. Unfortunately, they let you know that they're going to have to pass on giving you this bonus or promotion or position or whatever you want in your life. You perceive that this was supposed to be yours. So now you have two options. I would say there are two natural ways to go with this. There's the way of anger, where your sense of entitlement drives you to feel angry, of course, um, because it would be a righteous anger at a greater injustice, right? At a great injustice, how you perceive it that way. Or you might have feelings of extreme self doubt that arise from that. And now you're in both scenarios, your emotions are running really high and it feels intense, and you're going to have this prolonged state of trying to work yourself down or just giving in to the natural flow of your natural inclined feelings. And I think that that's totally, like I said, it's natural, and you should be frustrated with yourself for that. But once you hit that point where you're beginning to spiral in some sort of less than preferred way, is how I'll say it, um, that's when you actually get to choose. And through choosing in that moment in the future, when a similar situation arises, you will have more of a reasonable pool, smaller pool, if you will, of reactions to choose from. And you may actually find yourself having that moment very, very quickly rather than having a few minutes of struggling with the emotions and then remembering, oh, I'm supposed to view this in a different way. So you really do get to choose how you feel, but not just right away, like this sort of misnomer statement makes it sound like. It takes a lot of practice. I just want to highlight. So over time, as you practice in reframing with each turbulent or less than preferred situation arises, your initial reactions to these setbacks or perceived wrongs or whatever will begin to change. This is something that takes time. Instead of immediate frustration, you might find yourself curious, even, or determined by this. I'm sure you've heard of people who were like, well, my boss said this, so I did my job super, super well, and they had to give me the promotion because I made myself invaluable to the company, or I proved to myself that I did have the abilities that I thought deserved this promotion. So I left that company and I went to a different one, and they treat me much better. Um, so yeah, so you might have caught on to this idea that there are dualities in life. You can only, for every negative scenario, there is a positive scenario. There is a more positive way to view it. And just to highlight this, I'm going to read some of the examples I came up with really, really quickly. Okay? And I like this dialogue is something I do with myself a lot. I call it when given a choice. Once again, when given a choice. So, not just, I guess I'll just read them and it'll speak for itself. When given a choice, is this scenario an obstacle or is it a learning experience? When given a choice, is this suffering or is it an expansion into a novel way of experiencing my reality? Or the opportunity to prove to yourself that you can handle this? When given a choice, is this draining my energy or is it calling my attention to something that needs attention and using my energy to do so? When given a choice, are you alone or are you reliant on yourself right now? That's a big one. It was for me. I'm sure it will be for other people. When giving a choice, is it meaningless or is it begging you to assign meaning to it? So I'm going to go over these independently or individually as well. So, is this scenario an obstacle or a learning experience? Every hurdle is a lesson. Um, what if this obstacle isn't really blocking your path, but is instead guiding you along the correct path towards a new direction or teaching you resilience? Is this situation suffering or an expansion into a novel way of experiencing reality? I'd argue pain and discomfort are 100% inevitable in life. It doesn't even matter where you're at. It doesn't matter if it's a physical pain or if you are having an emotional pain. These things can happen to you regardless of whatever type of abundance you have. You may have physical abundance where you have tons and tons of money, and no matter how you spend it, it always seems to make its way back to you, and that's awesome. But then your attention is being called to these other aspects of your life. So then you think about the negative aspects of your life in that department, whether it's emotions or relationships or what have you. So suffering is inevitable in life unless You recognize that suffering is an opportunity to take on a new mantle, a new way to perceive reality. Hopefully, you choose a positive one. I mean, you're the only one living in your head. You should choose to have positive views, in my opinion. If you wanna, if you wanna continue to have negative opinions, that's totally fine. I won't force you to be positive. I can't. All right. So, is this experience draining your energy, or is it calling your attention for a reason? Energy drain, I think, is often a warning sign that what you're doing is not what you want to be doing. And that can be hard because I mean, like, you're settled in your way of life. You've had this programming in your life that has led you to take the most secure route, or just one particular route because mom and dad said so, or because your friends, all of them were like, oh well, like, I don't know if you should pursue that dream. That seems kind of like it's a lot. Are you sure that's a good idea? And then, I think security, for me, security was the biggest reason that I pursued what career I did. And now I've come to the conclusion that I'm not really sure what career I want to pursue, except I want to be able to help people. That's exactly what I'm doing. Um, so energy drain could be a warning sign or a call to action, pushing you to reassess your position and maybe what strengths you have. You need to be candid with yourself. You need to be totally honest about what you're good at and what you're bad at. And even if you're bad at it, maybe you really enjoy it. So you should keep at it and eventually you won't be bad at it. But if it's draining your energy in a negative way, I would really encourage you to step away from it. And then, in however much time feels appropriate, maybe it comes back to you and you feel like, oh man, I could take a few minutes to write that down. That seems cool. Or for me, like, I used to play video games all the time, and I pretty much totally separated from it. And now every once in a while I'm like, oh, I could use a gaming session. And then I go back and I find a game and I'm like, whoa, I've had this game this whole time, and now I have so much to look forward to when I'm playing this. And I only came to experience that because I stepped away from it. And video games are such a simple example. I'm talking about your passions in life, really, is what you should be. Hold on. Oh no, I don't know what it just said to me. Camera said something. All right, let's speed this along. This is actually getting kind of long. Um, are you alone or are you reliant on yourself right now? Interestingly, both of these can be true. You can be alone, and that is your call to be reliant on yourself. Or maybe you're not alone and you have plenty of people around you and they're all trying to give you your support, but you're not very good at receiving support, so you feel alone. Well, I suppose you're going to have to keep being reliant on yourself or open up yourself to other people. See how this is a new reframing of an idea, a previously conditioned idea that you've taken to, and now you have a different option available to you when situations arise or when you're having a negative or less than preferred dialogue, whatever it is. Maybe this is the universe's way of teaching you self-reliance or highlighting inner strengths that you have, which are often underestimated until you actually have to test them. So this one is I I love this one. Is this scenario meaningless or begging you to assign meaning to it? There is no manual for living life despite whatever YouTube guru or expert or whatever in your life, whatever influence in your life tells you, well, this is the way to do it because that's the way that worked for them. It's the way that worked for them. It's not the way that's supposed to work for everyone. It might work for you. You might actually be able to take away a certain aspect of that, and add it to your life and be like, oh, like, just like you're watching this video and you're hoping to get some sort of benefit, you can take away one sentence from this video, from this 15-minute video. That's all you need to do. You take away the meaning that you want to get from it. And the meaning you get is a synthesis between the input of the person you're watching, the experiences that you've had, and your synthesized takeaway from both of them together. So I think that's awesome. Um, Only you get to choose what something means. Every event that happens to you, despite what you may believe right now, every event that happens to you is neutral. But your reaction is what brings it its meaning. I would really advocate you choose positive views so that whenever something that is less than preferred happens to you, you can say, oh, well, this is supposed to teach me something. Or this is not going to last forever. That's how I started. I was like, this cannot last forever. And then it became, well, for however long this lasts is how long it is supposed to last. And it is supposed to teach me something. So I hope that these sentiments are great for you. I hope that they're beneficial. If they're not, it's probably due to your own views, and you can address that in whatever way you want. Like, it doesn't mean like your views are wrong and my views are right. Like, the reality is, I'm just telling you that assess how your views are and come to the conclusion of whether or not you like them. And if you don't like them and you don't think that they are ultimately beneficial for you or they are illogical, it will leave you. If you know deep down, if you truly believe this view that I have right now is not beneficial for me, it will leave you in an instant. And I would advocate replace it with something else. That's how you're going to disprove this idea to yourself is like, oh, well, I have this belief. What other belief could I have in its stead that is actually super beneficial for me? Um, so yeah, that's enough out of me. And thank you for joining me today. Take care.